afraid now. Put me on the stage now. I'm ready to rage now. I feel like an animal stuck in a cage and I'm ready to break out. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop. This time, like the last time, you better get ready to race to the top. I'm ready to do this, show you what the truth is. I step on the field, it's time to get real. I'm feeling so ruthless. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop. Lower the lights down. Hand over my crown. Hand over my heart. I do this for my town. I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop. Yeah. So what are you afraid of? Those feelings are made up. Get in the game, your moment of fame. Show them what you made of. It's time that we stand up. It's time that we man up. For anyone asking who is the best, we putting our hands up. My time. Nothing can keep me from reaching the top. This time, like the last time, I'm moving so fast, I'm ready to rise. I'm ready to throw down. It's time for the showdown. I'm ready to rise. Don't be surprised, I'll take on the world now. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop. Lower the lights down. Hand over my crown. Hand over my heart. I do this for my town. I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop. My town, my crown. We know what it takes to be reaching the top. We're reaching the top. We're reaching the top. We know what it takes to be reaching the top. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop. My town, my crown. We know what it takes to be reaching the top. We're reaching the top. We're reaching the top. We know what it takes to be reaching the top. Lower the lights down. Hand over my crown. Hand over my heart. I do this for my town. I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop. Turning the track up. I'll never go back down. Hand over my heart. I do this for my town. I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's going around the outside. Both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up the
Oh my god!
Oh.
Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled.
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go!
Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?
Dried up a bit, hasn't it? Circuit de Spa, Francorchamps. A wonderful, wonderful battleground for a championship which is going down to the very wire. It's important to get the points in now. It's important to bring this season to a fantastic conclusion. What a better place to do it with 2 rounds to go than the road to Liège-Bastogne-Liège. It is the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. It is the 11th round of 12 as Zandvoort awaits these drivers next week. I'm Jake Sperry, Jay Kennedy alongside me for the ride. at a track which, for every intent and purpose, has proven time and again to be a legendary classic that can host every single form of racing. Jay, Simsby TV loves this place, and we love how strategic this track can be, not only in terms of pace, not only in terms of length, but in terms of setup as well. This has everything.
100% Sperry. It's a phenomenal track, and it definitely brings about an interesting element. We always see a surprise factor. We always see a curveball, and we always see someone that we don't expect to come from nowhere when we see the time start coming in qualifying. It's always a track that provides something really, really special, and we see something special each and every time we come here. I love this track. I love this place, and I cannot wait to see how the racing plays out today.
I tell you what, I love this place as well, because we've got a bumper split here today. 23 drivers all hoping that their best foot forward can net them some really, really strong points in the offing. This is the chance that if you can't get it done in the opening races of the week, now is the time that you start to stretch your legs and make this a reality. And of course, we have to talk about cars 1 and 2 in this grid here today, of course, Jay, and that is Matt Wood versus Jorge Martinez.
Yeah, they've just had some insane battles throughout the year, haven't they? Or this season, I should say. It's been a very, very up and down season for both. They've both had really great rounds. They've both had not great rounds by their own standards, and they've had some interesting fights throughout, and it's going to come down to Zandvoort to decide the champion in this season, no doubt about it. It's going to be fantastic to watch when we get there next week. Of course, matching up the real world for the final 2 rounds of the championship, absolutely perfect as well. Of course, Spa this weekend for real life, and Zandvoort next week in real life. It's going to be very, very cool to see how Zandvoort plays out, and we'll get a bit of a warm-up for that next week.
We absolutely will, and that warm-up is going to be really entertaining to keep our eyes on. At the moment, though, our focus is on car number 1, Matt Wood, making his way through the campus corner and into Stavilo, this fast right out that charges on forward through towards this brilliant next section of road, the curve of Paul Frere, which leads to Blanchimont, flat out, 335, small lift down to about 323 through that section. First time's coming in on the board, Martinez setting the pace on a 42.8. Final chicane, attacking each curb as much as possible here as Matt Wood making a drive to the line, and that is a 42.5, puts a full 0.3 of a second on the board.
Great lap there from Matt Wood to just basically say, hey, I'm here. Jorge, come get me. It's a very, very good lap. 0.3 clear, and Jorge Martinez will be looking to capitalise, although he's already ruined his first sector on his next lap, so he's going to have to pull something absolutely magical out. Kent Nielsen, our biggest improver throughout the last 2 seasons, he'll be looking to get a very, very good time in for qualifying right now. Going to get into the 42s. I think that's a great effort. 43.2 for his first lap. Puts him in P9 right in the middle of our drivers that have done laps so far. Ronaldo Augusto yet to put in a lap time, and he's having some connection issues, so he could find himself not getting a lap in, as well as Weisbeck up to P2.
Now, it's been a hot minute since we've seen David Weisbeck here in these races. He has been in and around that top 5, but he has turned up with the party pretty much on full bore. He's got himself up to second by 0.02 of a second at this stage. Every single driver in this field is opting for the soft compound tyre here in qualifying. So everyone pretty much on the same strategy. Here comes Martinez then, looking for his second lap, and if there is any shade of improvement, 42.8 is his best at the moment, and he puts a 42.6 down, so he jumps back up into second position. That is not bad at all by metric, but Matt Wood here in the number 1 might just want to ease out that margin even further. Oh, you bet he does. 42.2. He's got 0.4 now.
What a lap there, and I must say the sector times weren't great for Matt Wood at the end of the lap, but those first couple of sectors were absolutely incredible. So had a brilliant start of the lap, probably ran out of tyre and was just holding on for the end there. But that was a brilliant lap there from Matt Wood. Martinez will be reasonably happy if he can keep it in P2, but if he's in P3, it's going to be a lot tougher for him to get past Matt Wood. Of course, First couple of laps, no DRS always plays an interesting factor into this race as well.
Certainly does. Adam Gleeson, 5 thousandths short of David Weisbeck after his second lap. Weisbeck going through that final chicane, the former bus stop. Now a very difficult 2 off-camber corners, and an 8.24 did improve, but not by much in terms of time to bring it all together. There are a few drivers out there on their second laps as things stand. Right now we're focusing on John Pat Kelly in the SRT Esports number 8 machine. Out there on track, Dennis Branch, Adam Webb, Reynaldo Augusto, who's yet to put a time in on the board. So there are still a number of drivers who could find the one shade of improvement that they very much are looking for.
It's going to be tough now with not much time left on the clock. So they've got to already be 3/4 or halfway through their lap with only a minute left. Augusto's sector times, I don't think he's going to actually get a lap in because he hasn't registered a couple of his sectors due to those connection issues. So Reynaldo Augusto, watching him come from the back of the field could be very, very entertaining to say the least. I'm looking forward to seeing how he fares if he does qualify at the back, because it looks like he won't get a proper lap time in.
We will see. Going through the rights and lefts, here's Dennis Branch looking to improve on lap time, 43.1. That is good enough to move up a little bit. Augusto has put a time in and has gone 5th fastest then on a 42.883, 5 thousandths short of Adam Gleeson of all places. So he has done a really good job, and the gap between 4th and 6th in qualifying right now is just 15 thousandths of a second. John Pat Kelly, a 44.3, comes over the line. Toffoli as well does not set a representative time, and there will be no chance for Alessandro Romanelli to improve on that. So everybody done then with their qualifying efforts. We can take ourselves through the grid, and it is the number 1, the championship leader going in by about 20 points, Matt Wood, who's got control of things at the moment. They started the week 2 points adrift, and now they are 20 points ahead. It's Jorge Martinez, his main rival, alongside on the front row. David Weisbeck, the American, in 3rd, with Adam Gleeson there in 4th place. Reynaldo Augusto, great qualifying to go to 5th, with Christoph Montz, pretty baller, I would say, there in position number 6 for the Phoenix Esports outfit. 7th position on the grid goes to Klaus Siemens, with Thomas Bartosic there in 8th. Darren Parker starting 9th, and Kent Nielsen rounding out the top 10. Dennis Branch starts 11th. The Japanese driver Tomoki Hirose then goes from 12th position on the grid. Claver Toffoli and Brad Newman, for those who know all about Scops, which will be happening tomorrow morning my time, or later today. Brad Newman is no stranger to that. He starts in 14th. Adam Webb and Jan Stratinsky 15th and 16th, with Philip Yates and Hiroyuki Sekiguchi 17th and 18th. Then it's Alessandro Romanelli, Adam Cohn, the New Zealander, John Pat Kelly, JW Miller, and finally Jin Se-yuk, the South Korean, not setting a time, and will have a long day at the office. But if there is any place to overtake, it is here today. Track temperature is 22 degrees. In sim time is about 6:45 in the evening. It is cold. It is going to stay cold, and it is going to be a challenge over 29 laps. Expect one pit stop. Expect soft as the way forward. Expect this to be an absolute thrill ride here today, as everyone looks to put their best foot forward. If you haven't had a chance to already, you can like, share, and subscribe for more content brought to you by the team here at Sim Speed TV, as we look forward to 29 laps of the circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. 7.004 kilometers starts now. Weisbeck with a pretty good start, but he just slightly bogs down. Martinez struggling then as they enter La Source for the very first time. Already dramas. Dennis Branch is up and over, upside down. He rolls just before turn number 1. He is incensed that something has happened so early on. Adam Webb, he came together as they enter Erosion Radio for the first time. We are not dramaless just yet.
Crazy start, and it's still going on up the front as well, because you look side by side here. Gleeson trying to get past David Weisbeck, but won't be able to get it done. Of course, no DRS for a couple of laps, so they're going to have to stay nose to tail for a little bit longer. This fight, right at the front, you have to say the top 5, all well and truly, are drivers that you expect to see leading or being right in that battle for the lead. So to have 5 cars that are fighting over one spot right at the front, this is going to be insane. You can see there, Thomas Bartosic going slow. That's a slowdown penalty.
And lap 1 is the worst. There's contact. It's Clayton Toffoli who runs into the back. And there's the big one. Up and over goes Jin Se-Yuk, who moved on to the medium tyres after not setting a lap in qualifying. And now his strategy in tatters after he went to thread the gap, which just closed very, very rapidly.
What a crazy start. We need to have a look at this before it gets too late to actually see any replays, because we've got the incident for Dennis Branch right at the start. This is
2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, he's had a horror run, hasn't he?
Suzuka didn't go well, so there's the wiggle off at the start, and Dennis Branch climbs up into it, and Adam Webb, it's very much Romain Grosjean 2012.
Very much so. It's just no road left in the end there. And we'll see if we can pick up the slowdown for Thomas Bartosic. So that sort of started the group behind us. Just seeing two on live pictures, you're probably seeing it too, Jake, that Ronaldo Augusto having all sorts of technical issues and may actually be out of the race. This is the slowdown for Bartosic, and be the next corner, or is he carrying this all the way from Eau Rouge Radion? Carrying it the whole way down.
Yeah, I think he was waiting for the start so he could have a place to serve, and did so there at a place and time which suited him. And this slowdown just completely threw the chain reaction in. Jin Se-Yuk's going to come up on the seat because Toffoli gets in the back. Everyone scatters, and, well, he leaves himself nowhere to go, not switched on. And Se-Yuk in the wall, and that is pretty much that then in terms of this. Lap 2, Ronaldo Augusto out of the race from 5th position, which will promote Kent Nielsen up into P number 5 in this race for the time being. A bit of side-by-side lower down as JW Miller gets the move done on Adam Cohn. But at least for the time being, it is Matt Wood in control through the big left-hander there of Double Gauche, more colloquially known as Puhon Corner. And there you can see those fighting near the rear of the field, giving everything as we take a look at the battle for 6th place. And 5th place, Christophe Mons on the attack.
Definitely is, of course. No DRS yet, so won't get that assistance for a little bit longer. And not going to get the move done yet, but I'm going to say this lap now, they'll get DRS down the Camel Straight. I think this is where we're going to see passes start to really happen. All of these front few, all within a second though, so downfall for Mons being so close to Kent Nielsen is Kent Nielsen's going to be close enough to Adam Gleeson ahead to get DRS as well. So may not have that work into his favour at this stage.
It swings and roundabouts with the drag reduction system. Matt Wood at the front of the field may need to count his stars here with Jorge Martinez, who will have the DRS open on this 3rd lap of the race as they charge through. Everyone pretty equal to it. Matt Wood has got himself a very low downforce setup, so that is pretty much the counterbalance that we are seeing here at this moment in time. There you can see Thomas Bartosic in the pits and Dennis Branch as well. The drivers all in the shades of trouble. Virtual Racing School replay then up on screen of this one. It might not even be Thomas Bartosic. In fact, it is. And this is where it goes wrong. Eau Rouge Radion. There's a reason why they're implementing changes at this corner in the next couple of years. And that is a heavy, heavy helter-skelter of an accident.
Dizzy just watching that. Imagine in VR, you would have felt rather sick if he's using VR. We hope he's okay, because that's the sort of incident you don't like people seeing or having in virtual reality or a motion rig. You imagine that one in a motion rig, you'd get flung out of your seat. Hopefully neither of those have been in effect for Bartosic. Also, in regards to Ronaldo Augusto, we were talking before about him with his tech issues. He's succumbed to those. He is now officially out of the race, retired, and is having the rest of the night off.
Yeah, and that's a real shame to hear that, but the race is completely on at the front of this field and is pretty much on everywhere in this field right now. Spa is putting on a spectacle here as we look from Christophe Mons' perspective. There is the rear wing of the Mag Performance machine that Jorge Martinez has. He knows he's got to score a result. This is the perfect time to do it. Up the hill, he struggles out of the final section through Eau Rouge & Co. And this is what is struggling here in this one. Weisbeck now has a really good run and opportunity to make this move. This is going to have to be defensive from Martinez potentially on the brakes. Lecoum, the right-left chicane. Malmedy follows immediately after. No chance for Weisbeck to make a move just now, but you're always in it if you're within a second. That is the key, I think, and it's pit stops that Marquez might be trying to win this race on.
We know Marquez is one of the drivers that's pretty good on tyres, so he might try and find himself going maybe 1, maybe 2 laps longer, so that he's got less of a run on those tyres. We're probably going to see a pretty shallow window, though, in this race, probably between laps 13 and 17. Most drivers are going to do pretty much the same thing, as you said before, soft. If you have an incident early, though, you might find yourself getting onto the mediums a lot earlier than others will pit, but for the most part, we're going to see everyone in pretty much in that middle 3, 4, 5 laps and going soft.
Yes, I certainly agree. These cold conditions are not conducive to mediums, and of course it's not the faster tyre out there today. So we are still due our stops, and they will happen a little bit later on. The run to the final chicane out here, this big right-left. You can see the gap's half a second pretty much between the first 4 places. Weisbeck maybe more on the fringes here on this lap in comparison, but it's just a case of who can gather what up over the courses of these laps. Matt Wood with control at this stage, and you'd say in range goes all the way back to Brad Newman in P number 11. They're within 10 seconds of the race lead. That gives you a good idea of how much of an important race this is right now, that you've got still on lap 5, the top 11 split by 10 seconds.
It's awesome that we've got the top 10 so tight and close, but you almost feel like everyone's just waiting for someone else to do something before they do something themselves. Everyone's just quite content at this stage. We sitting single file. We haven't seen anything outlandish. We haven't seen any moves be pulled. Everyone's just sort of sitting there waiting, watching, and wondering what everyone else is going to do. Nobody's willing to make that move first. I think the reason for that is that if they don't make the move, they're going to lose 1, 2, maybe even 3 spots just by being offline. So making sure you absolutely nail those passing maneuvers when you've got the opportunity in a tight field like this is probably way more important than any other race we see in the season so far.
Oh, I agree, and it's going to be in stark contrast to what happens at Zandvoort 1 week from today, where it's a very tight and technical circuit, which is completely different in its properties. So keep that in mind. The gap's starting to form, though, in the pack. It's now a train of 5, 6, 7, and then you've got all the way back to Siemens, who started to island himself in 8th place. Kent Nielsen with the fastest lap of the race. And then in 9th position back, it's a 3-car train, Tomoki Hirose with Philip Yates and Brad Newman. So those 3 will be fighting out then for the final spots in the top 10.
And that top 10 fight we've seen probably be some of the more heated battles we've seen throughout the season as well. It's been great to watch those fights for that 8th and 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th positions. There have been some really entertaining battles that we've seen throughout this season so far. So fingers crossed we see that again as Christoph Montz this time sets the fastest lap of the race. So fastest lap is going to be something that's going to chop and change throughout the pack throughout this race as well.
I certainly agree, but he will have to be a little cautious behind with Christoph Montz, because he has Darren Parker for a little bit of company here in this one as we focus on our championship battle, P1 and P2. It is Wood and Marquez out there at the moment. The gap half a second between them, and it has not moved. They've been on rail tracks trying to chase each other down in this race. At this moment in time, we haven't seen too much more change of that for this point in time. Philip Yates is your biggest mover in the field. He is up 7 places so far into that 10th position right now, and you definitely can't miss him out there on circuit in that fluorescent green machine.
Yet running the NSR Esports livery, one of the coolest looking cars we've got in the field for sure. It definitely stands out on these McLaren MP430s. Just one thing I've noticed, Sperry, is the gap between 2nd and 3rd is stretching out to pretty much a 2nd. So Davis Weisbeck may be out of the DRS range, which then will leave him susceptible to Gleason and Nielsen, who are now well and truly on his bumper. And you can see no rear wing open for Weisbeck, but behind Gleason and Nielsen, they have got that rear wing open. DRS playing into the favour of those behind.
It is dancing in and out of a second right now for David Weisbeck, and he is pretty much at the mercy of the DRS gods, you would say, at this point. They take that run up the Kemmel Straight once again, and this is the prime place to get it done. Nielsen probably the closest of anyone to make it, but this is the issue. He's going at 350 clicks down the straight, and or up the straight, I should say, and he still can't get anywhere near Adam Gleeson as they go through. So it's a case of, yes, you can get close, yes, you can get yourself an opportunity, but again, when everyone's in a draft train, you're not getting that same benefit as you would otherwise. 4 retirements from this race: Dennis Branch, Jin Se-yuk, Renato Augusto, and Thomas Bartosic, the 4 drivers out of this one, and you would say a star-studded 4 who are out of this race.
Drivers that you could well and truly see in the top 5 of any other race in this series. So very, very unfortunate for those guys who have all had interesting seasons. They've had positive and low points. Of course, we haven't seen too much of Dennis Branch this season, but in previous seasons he's had some absolutely storming runs and some disappointments as well. So been very, very up and down, and of course this one on his return to the series, a very, very big down. Hopefully we'll see him next week at Zandvoort, and he'll have a much, much better result at the Dutch track.
He very well may do at this point. Little mistake there from Martinez. Going through that final chicane has really opened the gap up now, and it stands at exactly a second. So suddenly Martinez has potentially just dropped the ball through one mistake. You can see 9.5 tenths of a second right now. We know he's got a great car for the middle sector, which is what he'll try and bring himself back with. But
no DRS.
no DRS either.
Right.
That is going to bring Weisbeck in.
Yep, you could see from the light on the dash there was no green lights on the dash, and you can see that gap closing behind. So could that be the mistake that Matt Wood needed? As soon as he's now out of DRS range, may he just be able to pull ahead and drive away? We have seen that before, haven't we, where as soon as the 1 second gets broken, it just stretches out, because that DRS was basically all that was keeping the gap within that second. So
yeah,
I think Matt Wood now might drive away for a few laps.
He'll try to at least, and you know, you wouldn't put it past him at this stage to try everything possible.
Kent
There is
Nielsen's
the
made a mistake
SRT
too.
sports machine of Adam Gleeson, so you're starting to see every single position really be fought for. There's Kent Nielsen, there's Christoph Mont, so it's these minutiae in these battles that become really crucial. You don't look at this, say, in a traditional sense of, oh, you'll gain a second or 2 seconds. No, you're battling for tenths and hundredths in this series, especially around this place.
Yep. The longest track on the calendar provides the closest racing and closest times on the track as well. So one of the more difficult tracks to absolutely nail at 110%. But all the drivers I know love this track. It's such a perfect track for these cars. And it's a perfect track for racing. In almost every series we've seen within iRacing, it's provided amazing racing in cars you would not expect it would be great for racing for. We've seen it in the V8, we've seen it in MX-5, Skip Barber's, even Formula V have provided great racing here. Of course, we all know about F1 and GT3 and multi-class racing as well. So Spa has definitely proven to be an all-rounder, despite what you may think when you think of Spa. Some of the slower category races, which have extremely long lap times, also provide great racing too. Gleeson getting close, that DRS definitely helping him, and I wouldn't be surprised if he shows the nose next lap. I don't like that, but I think Christoph Mont.
Wow, save and a half at Malmedy. He so very nearly threw himself in the fence on the inside. So let's get a virtual racing score replay. He's going to go up through this section on the Kemmel Straight, and this is how quickly the margin goes from in complete control to out of control to back in control again. Through the right, through the left. It's this right of Malmedy where the troubles lie. Back end stepping out, and well, it doesn't do it that much justice, that camera angle, but my goodness, he was wiggling.
Well, you just see from the angle there the control that he seemed to have it under, but this shot here will show it way more out of control. That's some nice driving to hold onto that, because I'm going to say that 80% of this field, that they would have ended up in the wall if that had happened for them.
Agreed. And I definitely would have ended up in the wall, but
Oh,
mind
no
you,
doubt
I
about
wouldn't have
that for
made
me.
it to this split. So either way,
I wouldn't have made it this far in the race, let alone out of the wall.
Oh, agreed. And this is the key. You've got to make sure that you are in your element. An element is Adam Gleeson right now. He's got to try and get through David Weisbeck. They're losing time. 1.7 seconds dropped. So Jorge Martinez now as they crest through Eau Rouge and Radion. Up that left-hander onto the Kemmel Straight. DRS is going to be full bore once again, and Gleeson now is using everything available. Was up at 3:46 to get to the inside of him and has made the move stick. Wonderfully constructed. Adam Gleeson moves up onto the podium.
Great move from Gleeson there to get that done too. You could see he'd been just working hard for a couple of laps to try to apply pressure to David Weisbeck, and once he was within that range, Weisbeck didn't even fight it. He just knew it was going to happen.
Stratinsky and Sekaguchi coming together at the top of the top of Lake Coombe there. And it is the Canadian who ends up in the wrong side of things. Virtual Racing School replay. They were side by side going into the corner. And this is the key. Sekaguchi trying the outside line as it is covered all the way by Jan Stratinsky. And here is the issue here. Stratinsky thinks he's got the line all sorted, but as he comes across, there's still a car there.
Yeah. So didn't quite have the awareness to see the car still there, and just cops that little whack in the right rear tyre. And he'll have to come in and get a new nose cone. Hopefully that's the only damage that he's got and he can get back out there. He'll probably fine from pitting at this point. He'll jump on some medium tyres. Speaking of pitting at this point, we've got a couple other drivers that have pitted. Faber Toffoli pitted on the last lap. You can see medium. But JW Miller has jumped back out there on another set of softs. So he's going to go... No, he can't go 19 laps on a set of softs. There's no way, can he?
Nah.
No, he'll have to come in for another set.
So yeah. You'd probably say that JW Miller's going to have a lonely race from this time onwards, as into the pits comes Jan Stratinsky, as we focus on the battle going on a little bit further forward than in this field. This is Darren Parker trying to chase down Christoph Montz. You've got Klaus Siemetz now on the back, and Siemetz, we have noted quite a bit this season here, Jay, that this is a driver who can be very hot or cold depending. I'd say he's lukewarm today. In 8th position, he's -1 for his places, but he is well within his range of attacking, and they can't afford to waste too much time because they're bringing Tomoki Hirose there, the Japanese driver, behind.
Throughout this series, we've seen that Darren Parker's been content just sitting, watching, waiting, capitalising on others' errors. He's been really, really consistent in regards to pace and driving, doesn't make too many mistakes, and just capitalises on others' mistakes. Does Darren Parker. Of course, we're focused on Klaus Siemetz at the moment. Another driver very, very similar. So these two guys will both be waiting for that one little moment that Christoph Montz makes the most minute error. They'll look to capitalise it at that moment, but until then, they'll just sit back, watch, wait, and know that eventually it will happen, because almost every driver in this field will crack at one point. 29 laps of absolutely intense, no stop, or no rest racing is going to be very, very action-packed. Just ahead, though, notice Kent Nielsen now is right on the tail of David Weisbeck.
Yeah, Weisbeck 46.8 that lap time by, that last time by, a full second slower than everyone around him. I wonder if he set that car up more aggressively for making good progress off the start. We saw how good he was in the opening couple of laps, starting to threaten Martinez, but he's just completely fallen backwards since that point. So Kent Nielsen couldn't get a good run up the hill there to make anything happen of it. So it will be the patience game once again that will be played at this point in time. But everywhere around this circuit, it's all about getting into range and attacking. And in these conditions, it seems like everybody is neutering everyone else's run because they've got so much top-end speed. They don't want to be overtaken.
Yeah, everyone's focused on top end because the main passing opportunity is at the end of the Kemmel Straight. And if you've got Brad Newman off the circuit, he's just been passed by a couple as he's run off. If we can get a replay of that, it's just behind. There's still battles going on. I was about to say that Brad Newman was starting to feel a little bit of pressure from behind of Adam Webb. and everyone out on track was in a battle except for Philip Yates and Matt Wood.
Well, let's get a look at this, and I think it is very plain to see. He just outbrakes himself here, does Brad Newman, because you look behind, he very nearly got joined by Adam Webb. It was as close as that, so Adam Webb, lucky. You shouldn't use the driver in front as a brake marker, because if they make a mistake, you're making one as well.
That made it a lot closer than we may have thought, and we're seeing pit stops happen as well with guys at the front. We said between lap 13, 14, 15 to about lap 18. David Weisbeck's taking the early side of that. He'll do 17 laps on this second set of tyres. As Brad Newman also in the pits. That's an alternate line to get in though.
Sekaguchi as well had a struggle to try and get into the pits. So really, Brad Newman is not having much love when it comes to the brakes, as it seems. Side by side, though, here comes Hirose to the outside. He's trying to get through on Klaus Semet, and he's not going to get there in the mock-up bronze. So he's not going to get that chance just yet, but he does know that... Oh, in front, there goes Parker. Darren Parker off the road. Backwards at Bruxelles.
And I've talked him up, so that's commentator's curse on me. Said he doesn't make too many mistakes. Well, that's a fairly big one, a costly one. Only just had his left rear up on the curb, and that was enough to propel him around. He's lost 2 spots from that, and tyres will be hurting as well, so he'll probably have to come in and change them now as well.
Yeah, that would be a shocker, because that was a snap that we were not expecting. Now focus on this for second and third. Adam Gleeson is motoring right now. His car is set up perfectly for the late stage of the stint. He might even think about the inside now, but Martinez is going to cover the line off. And you know what? Martinez has just bit the bullet, and he's bit it so late, he very nearly threw it in the wall on pit entry. A late call from Martinez then. He didn't want to battle Gleeson on that lap. He's taking the stop now. Yeah,
Klaus Semet's in as well, and very, very late call, as you said. Kent Nielsen, Christoph Montz in as well. Interesting, Adam Gleeson set the fastest 4th sector of the lap on the track in this race. That's the run down towards Blanchimont, so, and through that section. So fastest we've seen all day then from Adam Gleeson, and I think that was enough to scare Martinez into thinking, well, I don't want to get past right now. I'm feeling too much pressure from behind. I'll come in and get some tyres and have a look at what else he's got now. Clear track.
Clear track certainly does help out there, and there has been an issue on that last lap. I believe Alessandro Romanelli has come together with Adam Cohn, and it has been a dramatic end to the race then for Adam Cohn, who has had to take the tow, and he is now out of this one. Virtual Racing School replay up on screen. It's up then at the prime place to get overtakes done. Going to look at this from Adam Cohn's perspective, the New Zealander charging up the hill, and this is where it's going to go wrong. He's going to look for the inside here against Romanelli. Going through the right, then there's the switchback section, and there is heavy and copious amounts of netcode. There's nothing you can do.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate, isn't it? Joys of racing on the internet from the other side of the world. Nothing either driver did wrong there. It's just one of those things, and you have to put that down in the end to our version of some sort of failure in your car. You can't think of it any other way. Because Darren Parker's, I've just noticed on the sector timing, he's lost 2 seconds on this lap alone, so he's had something else go wrong on this one. There's Matt Wood in, Adam Gleeson in, and we'll see if the rest of our field come in on this one. I'm going to say yes.
Well,
Parker's the only one left to go.
Yeah, Darren Parker has just been struggling on this lap. Maybe he's got the tyres down into a level that he is so uncomfortable with, and that will be that. So Monster's battle continues. Martinez, though, is going to be the key. How has 1 lap of tyres helped in comparison to Matt Wood? The answer is not very much, because there's Matt Wood going up to speed right now. There's Martinez, and there's Gleeson still behind, still in range.
If anything, anyone's won out of this, it's Gleeson going that extra lap, hasn't he? He's been able to capitalise a little bit on that clear track on that previous lap, and he's almost within that second. You'll need to gain a tiny little bit to get him within the second to potentially steal away P2 later on in this race, but not quite there yet. Everyone has pitted, and we are now officially halfway through the race.
Everyone coming in then by lap 15. It shows you everything in this one. Everyone wants places, everyone needs them, and everyone is going to be trying to get themselves over to the end here as quickly as they can. A smattering of mediums, and they somehow have clumped together. Brad Newman versus Kleber Toffoli.
Yeah, I'm surprised that we've seen as much medium running as we've got right now, but a few drivers did, of course, have to pit well and truly out of sequence from where they would have liked to, so those medium tyres are going to be important for those guys. But guys that maybe only pitted on lap, with 17 to run on the set of softs are now out there on mediums as well. As you can see, all the witness marks in down at Melody there, or sorry, down at Bruxelles. See spin marks everywhere actually out on the track, a lot more than we probably have actually seen. We've seen a few spins, but the track conditions are showing, or the track state is showing us a few more witness marks out on the track, as Martinez has just put down an unofficial fastest lap. David Weisbeck has set the official fastest lap of the race. Kent Nielsen has just set his fastest lap of the race, almost the fastest lap of the race. So a few drivers starting to show some very, very good pace.
It's important, Martinez's lap, because it was a lap that got him within 1 second. You can see the DRS back open again, and it is at that same plane. Even though he's got DRS open, he still lost 2/10 down the straight. That is telling you majorly that Martinez is pretty much down for the middle sector only in this race.
Yeah, and it's surprising to see that he's running that setup. We do usually see him running or sacrificing that that top end at most tracks, don't we? We see him setting his car up. We saw it at, I believe it was Indy. We saw him run similar with the setup design more for the windy bit in the middle as opposed to the straights. So I'm very surprised to see Spa. You don't usually think of setting up for one sector as opposed to the other 3/4 of the track, but Martinez is probably finding himself more comfortable in that and can find himself more overall speed. As long as he can stay within a second when it comes to those important DRS areas, he'll be okay. But I feel like it's probably the wrong way to set the car up for this track.
Definitely seems like it when everyone else has gone for the high-speed package. It's been a case of one sheep standing out from the flock at this point in time. Still, Christoph Mont stares at the back of Kent Nielsen, who stares at the back of David Weisbeck in the fight right now. You can see those top three split by 2.4 seconds. Difference on that lap between your leading two drivers there, Jay. 1,000th of a second only.
Adam Webb sets the fastest lap of the race as well. We just missed that just before as well. So Adam Webb ended up pipping Weisbeck before. First driver to do a 1 minute 44 in this race is Adam Webb.
Definitely knows how to make the tyres go in the early stages. He's got eyes on both Darren Parker and Philip Yates. So Philip Yates has done really well to jump in terms of the stops then between those two. But Parker will definitely want to try and get that position back if he can. So you look at Adam Gleeson there in third position, just watching and waiting, hoping that there are mistakes in front. And it's not what you would call a strong pressure, but it's a constant pressure. And it's that sort of level of, I'm still there, I'm going to race you all the way to the end, that can cause people to crack.
Yeah, I think sometimes that's the bigger pressure, isn't it? You know that they're there to capitalise on a mistake. They're not going to get involved or have an incident if you do make a mistake. They're just there watching, waiting, and it almost lulls you into that false sense of security, knowing that they're there. Is Darren Parker up the inside, and that is a nice move on Philip Yates. Just force Philip Yates to run wide there. And Yates is like, no thanks, I'll get out of this one. Parker through, Yates drops back to 10th. And Darren Parker's recovery drive continues. But yeah, the pressure of just knowing that they're there sometimes is worse for you mentally being that lead car than having them right up in your rear view mirror. If they're right in your mirror, you're seeing them the whole time. You know that they're there. But sometimes if they're that half second, 3/4 of a second back, you sort of can sometimes almost forget that they're there, and it does lull you into that false sense of security.
Absolutely, and the Yates overtake then that happened on him was just a case of Philip Yates outbraking himself, and that was the cause and catalyst. We look at Kent Nielsen here up the hill, still trying to hunt down David Weisbeck, but Weisbeck is doing a fantastic job at this stage of just keeping everything honest and doing exactly what is needed to in this race to keep everything pretty much down pat at this point in time through Lake Coombe into Malmedy. And again, it's going to be a case of nothing doing at this moment in time between them. Other battle, a little bit further down. John Pat Kelly's got a run here up the hill. He's looking to get past Alessandro Romanelli here. This is for 12th position. And for John Pat Kelly, this makes him the highest mover in the field. He's gone from 21st on the grid. He's now up into P12. That's a gain of 9.
Thought when you used the word pat before that you're wanting to go back to this battle, and I sort of... We were on the same page there. It's a very, very nice move, though, from John Pat Kelly to get that done, and we'll hope to gain another spot. One thing I did notice then as well, Adam Gleeson has set the fastest lap of the race now as well. Kent Nielsen didn't look as strong up through Eau Rouge Radion, and he's losing a lot of ground there. Everywhere else in the track, he's matching David Weisbeck for pace. But that one section, just can't get it nailed in, doesn't look as confident through Eau Rouge. That loses him at maybe a tenth of a second through Radion. He's about 8 kilometers an hour slower when he's at the same point through Radion. Then obviously DRS opens and he gains that back, but just doesn't quite have it in that little section there. And we'll probably see it again here. The gap will grow as they go through here, and then it'll close back up to that half a second by the end of the Kemmel Straight.
Absolutely will. You can see they go through the left and right, mark the gap, half a second here, and
There's
now it's just going to, yeah, already, just like that. There goes the 10th. Then he gets the DRS, and he's going to grab it all back up again, though. So ultimately, he gets himself within 0.3 of a second, but I wonder how much of the energy recovery system he was using compared to the automatic deployment to get himself back into range, and that's going to be key. Speaking of key, those two drivers at the front both set their fast laps of the race. Fast lap of the race, Matt Wood, 1:44.8.
Yep, nice lap from Matt Wood, and Martinez did a 1:44.9. The only two drivers in the 44s on the previous lap. Although, Martinez on this lap, he's 4/10 up on his personal best pace, so this could be the fastest lap again from Martinez. He might have decided, hey, I'm just going to sit there and watch and wait, and then bang, I'm going to go for it and apply a lot of pressure. Just as the tyres start to get to that little bit of an edge, they're not falling off, but they've just gone from their absolute optimum, just dropped a tiny little bit, and you can see the gap closing and closing and closing. Now down to 0.4 of a second. He's gained heaps of time on this lap.
Absolutely has, and he's got to make some moves here early because he knows that he's got one lap older tyres, if that, to Matt Wood at this stage. So Martinez has got to absolutely go for it. That's a 45 flat on this lap from Martinez compared to a 45.4 of Matt Wood, who cannot match. So now that gap, as close as it has ever been, and important for championship points. Matt Wood has 2:21 in the bank this week already. Anything he can take away from Martinez here would be bonus, but Martinez has got to absolutely fly up this Kemmel if there is a chance. You can see the gap, 4/10, stays 4/10. They are dead even on pace on the straight. You can see only a change of about 100th of a second only on that run through.
But what that does now is it makes a big advantage for Martinez through this section here to gain time, gain pace. My only concern is if Martinez does get the move done, that Matt Wood and even Adam Gleeson are just going to blitz on by him because he doesn't have that straight line speed down the Kemmel Straight. He needs to really work hard through this sector to make the tyres work, make the car work, and to gain as much time as possible. With DRS open, Jorge Martinez's top speed, 331 Ks. Matt Wood's top speed without DRS, I think I've seen him just hit 330, maybe 329. So not getting the advantage. You go back to Kent Nielsen when we saw him with the DRS versus Weisbeck before. He was hitting nearly 350.
Yeah, it's a huge makeup of difference, and I think Martinez knows that if he is going to make the move, he's going to need that middle sector to come into play. So maybe Bruxelles, maybe the run to Pouon, double gauche, that might be the place where we start seeing those moves. Again, look at this. They are nose to tail following through this chicane. and they've got 9 laps to figure this one out between them. Gap as they cross the line is an error message. It's 4:04, the gap as they cross over, and Marquez knows he's got to be absolutely there. But again, on the power, it seems that Matt Wood just has a very good turn up through the gears, and maybe his gear ratios are slightly better for acceleration.
Top speed at the moment. So right now, 3:30 for Matt Wood. Marquez, 3:34 he got to. So he's has got maybe a little bit if he can. I mean, wind can even play a factor in getting a couple extra Ks down there, but just, yeah, not enough down the Camel Straight to get anything done yet. Still 9 laps to go, but shaping up to be a very, very interesting battle for the win and battle for 4th as well, because Ed Nielsen, I feel like we're a broken record when we say this, but his improvement season upon season has been incredible, and he's driving really, really well this season. Very, very impressed, and you should be very, very happy. Even if he can't get through on Weisbeck, his improvement season upon season is the best we've seen out of anybody in this field.
I certainly agree, and if you can continue this trend of pace, he'll be up there fighting for the title next season, because that's the way that Kent has definitely gone. But it is worth saying right now here, Jay, it is a headwind going onto the Camel.
That's interesting. So the DRS is playing an even bigger factor when you have that that hole in the rear wing getting draft as well as the DRS. So it'd be interesting to see what Marquez's actual pace is without DRS down that straight. He might only be hitting 3:15 or something. It's a very, very big factor we see in these races is the DRS. So surprised that his focus so heavily. That was close between Nielsen and Weisbeck.
I think there may have been the slightest, faintest bit of contact there at La Source. Nielsen was absolutely on the binders, so much so that he's dropped about 7-8 tenths of a second because of it. That is how close you can get a good run, because you effectively have this double DRS slingshot as you go through on the front stretch, and then after Radion and up the Camel, it is just like that these positions can chop and change here in this field. And speaking of chops and changes, Adam Webb is hoping soon that he can chop and change, because he's found the back of Philip Yates in the fight for 10.
Yeah, although last lap by Adam Webb was slower by about 0.3 of a second, but gradually over the last few laps he has been gaining time over Yates. Of course, Yates not long ago got passed by Darren Parker, who's already pulled 4.5 seconds gap ahead, so fairly decent margin there. There's Adam Webb on those mediums that he says is designed to confuse everyone, but he keeps confusing us and not the other drivers in the field.
Yeah, certainly does.
I told him he's confusing the wrong people with those yellow wheels.
Yeah, but very much the red rim on the outside, indicating that it is a soft walled tyre. But there are your leaders. 1, 2, and now 3. Do not count out Adam Gleeson in this race. We know he's got a great turn of top speed, and he will use it when he feels he's got the opportunity to make it happen. So be warned, Jorge Marquez, it might just be a case of, well, I might have to use Adam Gleeson as the pick here to get by Matt Wood.
100%. You look again, another faster lap than Matt Wood. Gleeson's 2 fastest laps are faster than Marquez has done in this entire race, and Matt Wood, of course, has done the fastest lap of the race, but his second fastest lap is slower than what Adam Gleeson's 3 fastest laps are. So Gleeson has better pace over the last little while, and here comes Kent Nielsen, not quite close enough, but that's the first little weave we've seen from Nielsen to show Weisbeck, hey, I'm here, I'm ready to go, I'm ready to take this position. We've got some great battles going on now, and this race is well and truly heating up. Even though it wasn't hot already, I mean, it was hot already, it's getting even hotter.
And as well, the battle for 7th place is getting there too. Klaus Siemitz says, here comes the move. Webb trying to get past Philip Yates, but Yates is really good in a straight line. The middle sector is where he's going to struggle in comparison. And as they reach Bruxelles, it's going to be about the brakes here and how can you get yourself through the corner. A much more tighter line taken by Adam Webb. He is all over that. He is smothering it like a toddler smothers chocolate over it themselves.
This is an awesome little fight there that we're seeing the whole way back down the field. Also seeing too that, oh, not quite close enough. Oh, actually, he's going to get it done here. No, oh, in the grass.
My word indeed. That was nearly disaster town, and Adam Webb is lucky after overcommitting to the first part of the Fania chicane. It is as simple as that for it to go horribly wrong, and it very nearly did. Lead battle looks close again, though. 6/10 back to Gleason. 4/10 of a second over the line to Martinez. Here comes the chance that everyone is searching for. Up the hill they go, and through Radion and onto the charge on the Camel once again. Martinez trying to find something, but Matt Wood hitting 333 on the straight without any DRS assistance. That is what is keeping him ahead in this race.
No doubt he's used the some extra battery deployment as well there too to keep that pace, because he's worried.
Oh, Romanelli.
Yeah, Romanelli around, and he was battling with Sekiguchi. They've been chopping and changing positions back there rather easily. They hadn't been fighting. They've just been chopping and changing positions a little bit. But we'll see what's happened here. It looks like it's a self-spin here. Unfortunate for him, but he's been able to get it going very, very quickly. May have Brad Newman come up behind him in a couple of laps. This looks like it's just a tiny little bit too much curve, unsettled the rear, a tiny little bit. Power down, not quite right, and around he goes.
Yeah, you could see the minutiae of the compression bouncing after being unsettled over the curb. It's very, very difficult to work it out in these machines. Now, Christoph Montz here has just been quietly working over the course of these laps, keeping in a range with the Phoenix Esports car and putting Kent Nielsen in a catch-22. And this is the key right now with all of these battles. If you've got the chance to get there, you've got to start making those plays now, because you've got the big 5 left to go coming up soon. We're on lap 25 of 29 at Spa.
Yeah, and Kent Nielsen on that lap there just did almost into the 46s, so his pace there nowhere near as good as it's not showing. Yeah, it is showing lap 24 there. See, half a second gain for Christoph Montz. So,
half a second.
That's a big chunk of time when Kent Nielsen has been driving very, very smooth.
Oh, I agree. He's been driving incredibly smooth, but the case is, what can you do? Now, here comes a move. It is Klaus Siemens versus Tomoki Hirose. Hirose breezing around the outside. That is a beautiful overtake then from the Japanese driver, who is now +5 in this race. And get this, not a million miles away from Christoph Montz, and he was lapping at the same speed as the leaders that last lap, Hirose was.
Yeah, he's only 2 seconds behind, so we could see a 4-car battle for that 4th position very, very soon. Although Kent Nielsen is almost outside that magical 1 second barrier from David Weisbeck. So has Kent Nielsen worked the tyres too hard, and has he got enough left to hold on for 5 more laps? Speaking of holding on for 5 more laps, Martinez is getting close, and Matt Wood might find himself needing to hold on for 5 more laps here.
Well, he's been holding on the entirety of the race. Only for a few laps has he been outside of the 1 second window. The undercut has worked fantastically for Martinez, who's been using the drag reduction system to keep himself honest in this one. But the fight for the win, the podium, it's all here. It's wrapped up and packaged, and you can see the virtual fans all on their feet. They have been all race long for this one as they now go in towards turn number 1 once again. But over the last couple of laps, Matt Wood has just been slowly eking out a half a tenth here or there. The gap now 6/10.
Been an interesting little ebb and flow race, hasn't it? Just the gaps going 3/10, 6/10, 3/10, 6/10, 9/10, 3/10, 6/10. It's been incredible just to watch the bouncing of the sector timing and the intermediates between drivers and the gaps between the leader. It's just been a real interesting dynamic to this race. I must say too, have a look at this lap that Darren Parker has just done in this race. New fastest lap of the race. Ooh. Darren Parker's got something left in the tyres. He's going to try and hunt down Klaus Siemens, even though he's 10 seconds up the road.
Nothing to lose. I might as well set fastest lap. I'll get a quote-unquote bonus point for it. No, you won't. But ultimately, Darren Parker's proving that he's got plenty left in the tank to go out there and attack with. But this is such an important moment in the race. You can see middle sector, Gleason cannot follow in the tracks of Jorge Martinez. This is what is stopping him from attacking up at Lake Hume, because he just can't follow in the middle sector. He's spending the entirety of the next two sectors just getting back to where he was.
Yeah, I'm surprised too Gleason hasn't been able to capitalise on that. And I'll tell you what, who's trying to capitalise now is Christophe Montz. They were side by side for a moment there.
Only for the briefest of moments, trying to fight out of Stavilo. Now down to the final corner. Thoughts of the inside, just that, fleeting as they are. It is starting to unsettle here, the lines from Kent Nielsen. That top 5 position here, Jay, is not secure.
100%. It's not 3 laps to go. Not much left in this race, but so got to try and hold on here. Does Kent Nielsen, as that will help. Little error from Christophe Montz. Hit the AstroTurf on the outside, and that's just lit him up into wheel spin.
Oh, look at Gleason. Look at Gleason, absolutely steaming into Lake Hume like a freight train. Down the inside, he'll take it up to second, and now his sights are set. Matt Wood, you are not secure right now in that race-leading position.
And have a look at the lap difference between those two. Last time by 2 tenths faster was Adam Gleason. And now that Gleason can see Matt Wood without Marquez ahead, that's going to be a bull in a china shop situation. He's going to be absolutely flying now to try and close that gap down. He'll try and get it within a second on this lap and then leave himself an opportunity to overtake right at the end of the final lap. He is still close enough to be able to make that work. This race is on. We're going to see it fight all the way to the finish.
We absolutely are. Tough issues, though, for Adam Gleason. He made a mistake there down the hill through the left, so he's got to gather it back up again in this final sector. He is outside of 1 second. He's got to get it back in there somehow, and he knows he's got pace, but how much of it at this moment in time? Has he used everything and a bit more trying to get by Martinez for P number 2? That's the next question that needs to be asked. We'll get a couple of popsicle sticks to indicate we've got 2 laps to go. Matt Wood has been faultless at the front of this field so far, but Gleason gets it under a second, and now this is going to be, it's just ebbing and flowing right now. Again, it's the acceleration that's doing the job.
Yep. We'll get the true factor on the gap. Just as they come up to Eau Rouge, you'll see if there's a green light come on the left-hand side. He's going to have DRS. They've passed the marker. No DRS. For Adam Gleason, you can see when we look there at the lights lit up. So the light on the left-hand side for Martinez. He's got DRS, so he's going to be able to use that. But we need to have a replay of something, Sperry, because there's been a change back in the field. It's been an issue for David Weisbeck.
Oh, not like this. He was on a great run for 4th, and it's out of turn 1. The Lassour's hairpin grabs the AstroTurf. It looks like you're going to see it right now. Just a bit of AstroTurf, and he's thrown into the wall. And no front, no rear. David Weisbeck has had a habit of ending races like this, and now he is limping for 2 laps. Now, to give you an idea of how hard Matt Wood and Adam Gleason are pushing, right, Matt Wood did a 1:44.5 on that last lap. Gleason, 44.4, and he's still trying to push this gap down.
And he made an error, and he made an overtake, and still set the fastest lap of the race to Adam Gleason. He is flying and trying to push, but still over a second at the moment. So Matt Wood is doing enough, but he's got to find that fine margin of doing right on the limit without pushing it that small amount too far. He is so right on the ragged edge. We're going to get the white flag this time, last lap, and it's not done. One minor mistake from Matt Wood will force him to lose the lead. He's going to try and hold on. Oh, this is going to be a good battle to the end.
Great lap there from Matt Wood. He gets the gap to 1.2. The battle's still on as well for 4th and 5th. And you could say 6th as well, with Tomoki Hirose watching on. Every battle matters as they run into the Lassour's hairpin here and try and figure out where they can find the pass to go and get it done. There is Martinez in 3rd position, and he is knowing and sensing that this race is falling away late, and he's given everything. He's been on the strategy that was aggressive, late calls to come into the pits. Adam Gleason trying to throw the kitchen sink and everything else at Matt Wood, who has just not budged, not moved. He's been stone-faced in defiance of Adam Gleason's attempt to try and make this race happen. No move yet for Christophe Mont either in this one, but he's got a storming run here on the run to Bruxelles. He's not going to quite get on his contact. And there goes one driver going through. Now they're going to trip up over each other. Mons is going to get turned then by Hirose. So being the gentleman, trying to get it sorted, is going to cost him 3 places, and it's an 1 million point turn. He's done well to find reverse. Another place goes, and that's going to be even more that's going to hurt. It's all fallen away, by the way, at the front for Adam Gleason. He threw everything at the overtake at Marquez and left nothing in reserve. The run now to Blanchimont corner for Matt Wood, who has had the most stringent 29 laps of his sim racing season so far. He's had to throw everything and a bit more at it, and this is the moment he can say that he is in control of his destiny. Matt Wood wins here at Spa and proves to Marquez that it is not your time yet.
Marquez finishing in third there, and I'm worried that the way that he stopped the car there, that he may have had a slowdown at the end of the lap there. So we have to wait right until every car has crossed the line to confirm those results. And wow, what a race that was. And Christophe Mons was rather aggressive there, as you said before. Gave Kent Nielsen the smallest little touch. Did try and be a gentleman and redress the position, which is the sporting way to go. But Hirose probably wasn't expecting 2 cars to be stopped on the apex and didn't really have anywhere to go but into the rear of them.
No, I completely agree there. It's a freak accident there towards the end of the race, and there's not much that you can do about it. The last few cars then will be making their progress over towards the line. The likes of Alessandro Romanelli, Brad Newman, who has had a adventurous race so far, especially at the end of the first stint on the softs. Jan Stratinsky we saw in the wall. David Weisbeck out of the race then before it reaches conclusion as well. JW Miller will be the last car to the line. It looks, at least for the moment, like Jorge Marquez is safe at this point in time, but we have to wait for JW Miller to reach the checkered flag, for everything to situate itself and for everyone to be all okay with the results. There is JW Miller, P16 it is going to be, and sweet after what happened in the early stages, up 6 places. Every reason to be excited. So right now we are able to get that confirmation of result for you here at Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. Matt Wood's 51 minutes and 25 seconds was a long slog here today. He had to really work to make it a reality here, with Adam Gleason in second and Jorge Marquez officially in third, making it the toughest challenge out there overall. Kent Nielsen then gets 4th place, with Tomoki Hirose managing to pick up 5th after starting today in 12th position on the grid. A great result for Tomoki here, with Klaus Siemitz in 6th and Darren Parker in 7th place. Despite the 1 million point turn at Bruxelles, Christophe Mons does end up with 8th position. Philip Yates will take 9th, and Adam Webb in the end would round out the top 10 overall from that one. Next up then through that section, up 10 places, the biggest mover in the field was John Pat Kelly. He got himself exactly what he wanted there, with Hiroyuki Sekaguchi finishing off in 12th. Alessandro Romanelli gets 13th despite a spin. Brad Newman in the 13 car finishes 14th, with Jan Stratinsky in P15. Your last finisher on the lead lap being JW Miller, and then the drivers a lap down or worse. David Weisbeck could not limp the car home. He finishes a lap down after showing such promise from qualifying. Kleber Foley a lap down as well. He got involved in an incident on the opening lap of the race. Adam Cohn's dramatic exit came as a result of netcode, with Thomas Bartosic out then very early on in the race, along with 3 other drivers struggling on the opening lap. Reynaldo Augusto, Jin Se-yuk, and Dennis Branch all finding retirement. Dennis Branch not even finding a corner on this race here on the road to Liège, Bastogne, Liège. But, ladies and gentlemen, we are 1 week away from the final round of this championship. It will be at the Circuit Park Zandvoort, and it will promise to be a formidable challenge as they go and battle. Crucial as well, because it's the old style of circuit. There's no 18 degrees of banking to help with overtaking. It is a purer test and challenge here, and the only place you can catch it is with us at SimSpeed TV. If you haven't had the chance to already, I told you earlier on, but I'm going to tell you again. You can like, you can share, and you can subscribe for more amazing content brought to you by the team here at SimSpeed TV. For example, later on today, for those of you in the Australian time zone, we're going to be going for Scops and that big battle that will be happening as Enduros head to Phillip Island for the 500. Join Lockie Mansell, the Beauty and the Geek winner, as well as Reese Gardner for that one. But on behalf of all of those who get it done, Jay Kennedy, of course, who has been on the cameras and commentary here for this one, to the Virtual Racing School, sponsors of the replays, to, of course, the team at the Open Wheel community who have been bringing this series over for us. My name's Jake Sperry. It is once more Matt Wood. He had to be disciplined. He had to be diligent. He had to be strict on himself, and he got everything he wanted and more. A victory, not by much, but it doesn't matter by how much. It matters that it's a victory. And 1 week from now, he is primed and he is ready. Will it be his time to finally turn up from being a bridesmaid, be the bride of the iRacing Grand Prix Series? Well, you've only got 1 week to find out. Join us for that. Zandvoort, the final place of our championship.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's going in the outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up to him.
Oh my God! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get involved!
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, here we go! Oh no!
That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my God!
God, what?